So, it's actually going to start earlier, but I was busy watching Count Dankula. The edgelord kind of thing on the internet is kind of worn out for me, but he actually does a pretty funny series on absolute mad lads. It just talks about, I guess, crazy guys in history or some shit like that. So I just learned about Purple Aki. But yeah, so I wanted to finish part 2 of Christforgiveness. Do Christians ever make mistakes in evangelism? It's a kind of this is an odd array of like punctuations in this title, and I think it's still misspelled too. Yeah, it's still misspelled. I just copy and pasted. I literally copy and pasted whatever he had. So if it's misspelled here, if it's misspelled on his shit, it's misspelled on mine, and that's the way I want to keep it, because you know what? That makes it authentic. So we're wrong together. And I check my levels. Oh, okay, no, my levels of the microphone is all right, but I don't know. It just seems like, okay, maybe I just need to get closer to it. Anyway, yeah, it looks like he's about to kiss him. Yeah, I mean, maybe he wants a kiss. Drag is that's true. That is true. So I'm gonna go make some coffee, cause I'm kind of sleepy. I was up last night doing Hannibal and Monty's show, because the show's like 4 hours long. And I was tired, real tired. So, all right. It's an absolute mad lad. Absolute. Oh man, we stopped it at a perfect time. So, let me move this back a bit because that's really close. Okay, there we go. I have to change how my camera's set up when I go on Skype. Put this. I'll put that here. Okay, so the last time on David Lynn Z. David Lynn was on a street corner across from many buildings depicting homosexuality. The pride flag, the pride colors. We see gay Frieza here, harassing our hero, trying to go in for a kiss. Yeah, I don't know. So, David Lynn, the guy who got arrested for disturbing the peace in good old Canada, is out here now asking people rhetorically if they can tolerate him. He is going to come out, that in air quotes, he is going to come out as a Christian, clearly mocking the practice for some people who are of the homosexual variety to pretty much uncover who they are as a person, because, you know, hey, it might be a little dangerous where they are. They stay in the closet, they stay hidden, they put on a facade of heterosexuality in order to protect themselves most times. So David Lynn is going to use that trope, and he's going to come out as a Christian because, you know what, he's a second-class citizen now. Because reasons. Anyway, while rhetorically asking people whether they'll tolerate him as he's coming out as a Christian, he was approached by this gentleman here after David Lynn decided he wanted to stick that microphone in people's face and ask them a rhetorical question over and over again. So let's see how this ambassador of Christ wants to interact with people who actually do want to talk to him. Because, mind you, the other people to his right that you can't see because they're off camera had ignored him. So let's see if David Lynn is being a good ambassador.
I am a Christian. Okay, and you tolerate me. Wonderful, wonderful. So you tolerate me as a Christian? As long as you tolerate me as a gay man. I tolerate you. That's why I'm living in Toronto, and I don't want to kill you. But tolerance is a bad word. Acceptance. What about acceptance? What do you? I accept you. You're here.
Okay, let me comment right there. Do you tolerate me as a Christian? If I wasn't a Christian myself, no, I would not. Okay, especially if I'm gay. If I'm gay and I know that I've made a choice and I don't care what God says about me being gay. I don't care what an old book says about me being gay, so to speak. Okay? Would I tolerate those that
Anybody kind of have that little feeling in the back of their neck, maybe the irony that Deroy is kind of stepping to the mind of a gay man and telling us what he, as a hypothetical gay man, would think about tolerance in respect to a Christian here. I just wanted to point that out. Just wanted to point that out. And I did forget to speed him up. I am sorry. It's not sped up.
are against me being gay. Now, again, he can preach on any street corner in Toronto. Okay, there's certain street corners and there's dozens of them that he could preach on. But he's preaching on one where there is LGBT colors all around. He's preaching right up in their face while they're already doing something. They got signs out, they got picket signs out, they're doing something. I'm also against people going to gay pride parades and preaching the gospel at a gay pride parade. I think that you should be careful about that, because you don't want people to think you're the enemy before you're the problem solver. You know what I'm saying? See, let me tell you something. Nobody comes to Christ unless God draws them. And nobody comes to Christ until they hit that brick wall and they realize that there's a problem. Everybody, especially when you're a grown adult and you should know better than this garbage, you're not going to come to Christ until you hit that brick wall and realize that you need a change in your life, that you can't go on like this. Then you will listen to the street preacher. Then you will walk into a church and accept Christ. But when you think that you are, growing in something else, like you're growing more positive as a gay person, you think that you are, like he said, you're just coming out of the closet finally, and you're just starting to elevate yourself. Of course you're not going to accept what the preacher's saying. So for him to even be there, okay, and asking these people if they tolerate him is just kind of like an oxymoron, okay? Because he knows they don't tolerate him, okay? And I mean, come on, put yourself in their shoes. What if gay people came to...
Okay, so you know what? I actually agree with Deroy Cruz here. Thank you, Mr. Parkinson's disease. I actually do agree with you. David Lynn is not approaching them as a person who is understanding of what's going on here. He's just kind of being a dickhole, honestly. It's interesting that in this case, Deroy Cruz is able to empathize with the plight of gay people. And understand that what David Lynn and a lot of street preachers don't really take into account is that you are, what's going on, PG? Where are you from? I don't know. What's up? David Lynn, like a lot of street preachers, are just putting themselves out there. Yeah, he doesn't know what an oxymoron is. It's fine. But he doesn't really understand how, or that's the best way, the most efficacious NC. Well, not where you. How did you hear about my channel? Not where you're. Never mind. But David Lynn, like a lot of street preachers, he's just out there. He's out there to be in your face, like a lot of folks using this sound system. Which it helps you kind of draw people in, but when you're talking to somebody, but like look at this. I've always found this annoying. If you have a sound system, right? What is a sound system for? That's to project your voice over a larger area than what your regular voice can normally do. So if you have someone less than a foot away from you, turn the sound system off, use your big boy voice, okay? Because that's incredibly impersonal. So if I turn on drag military voice and you're a foot away from me, that's going to hurt your ears. That's not how you communicate with another person at all. What's going on, Liz? But this is one of the things that, and I don't know if Deroy actually gets on this, and maybe he will, maybe he won't, maybe it's something he'll add to another video, but think about that. So if I'm talking to Deroy, if we're talking man to man, and I all of a sudden pull a G-Man bullhorn out of nowhere, I just materialize it and I start talking to him because this is how I talk to other people when I'm on the street, and I want everyone to hear me. But I'm having a one-on-one conversation right now, or just even a one-on-two conversation. I'm focusing on two people in front of me. You wouldn't do shit like that. But see, David Lynn, for some reason, he's so focused on what he thinks that he's doing. These two dudes aren't trying to hear him. You know, that's not how you reach people at all. But hey, you know what? You can do whatever you want because the glory of God and Christ and all this other kind of stuff. But you know, you're gonna save someone's soul, but you can barely have a conversation, a decent conversation with another human being. You are somehow gifted with or imbued within some magical property from the creator of the freaking universe, but you can't muster enough common sense on how to have conversations with another human being. Am I going crazy here? What's up? Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
A place where you were, let's say, what if gay people came to a place where somebody like me or David Lynn was giving food to the hungry, and we were, inviting people to go to church and stuff like that through our organization, and we had our colors on the window and Jesus saves and all like that. What if a bunch of gay people came out there and they started preaching about how great homosexuality is and how asking us questions, do we tolerate them? Okay, we're trying to get people not to be gay. We're trying to get people not to have an abortion. And here they come asking us if we tolerate them. Okay?
You know what? Deroy Cruz raises a good point. I'm not sure how many gay dudes are going to be out there going, have you heard of the gay Christ? Open your anuses to the truth. That's not a, Deroy, that's really not a thing, man. That's not a, I mean, don't get me wrong. I get the point that he's trying to make, right? It's funny as hell. It's absolutely funny to imagine some gay folks is coming out there. Please accept all penises in your oral cavities. That's not, rainbow Jesus protect us. We are covered in his cum. I don't this can get really nasty really quick, but that's not a thing. That's not a thing, Uncle Deroy. But the point that you're making, Uncle Deroy, is an apt one. It is a perfect point. I'm not going to go into a young earth creationist freaking congregation and start teaching them actual science. If they wanted to learn science, they could take their ass to school. So that's a very good point that you're making. I agree with you, Uncle Deroy. Dragnot, what do you think the odds are that Deroy is a Dominionist? I don't know. I've kind of some of the things that he has said kind of reminds me of Ted Cruz, which Ted Cruz is like my kind of, that's my quintessential Christian Dominionist when I think of that denomination or it's that ideology. Deroy is very strong on personal rights and freedoms, so for him to be a Dominionist kind of flies in the face of that. So I don't peg him as a I gotta stop saying that. I don't peg him as a Dominionist. I don't know. If Uncle Deroy, if you want to address this in one of your videos, whether or not you're a Christian Dominionist, feel free. But I don't think you are, just based on some certain other things that you say.
Or they come asking us if we tolerate them. How would we feel? We would feel like we would say the same thing these guys are saying. And see, I know and I understand these guys are sinners. It's almost like they're out of their minds for living this lifestyle or even condoning this stuff in any way. But the fact is, they really, really, really believe that they are within their rights. And they really, really, really believe that they are people like us. And so you got to be careful that you don't come around them looking down your noses at them as if, oh, well, we can go right up there in front of their rainbow colors and say what we want to say and pick that as a place to say it. Because let's face it, David, we don't really have respect for what they believe about being gay. Let's face it, we don't really give a rat's behind about them being gay and what that means to them. So we'll go and preach the gospel right in front of their rainbow colors. But what we want them to do that to us.
Right in front of their rainbow colors.
What we want them to do that to us. See, to me, that's not really street preaching. That's kind of like, that makes us look like a bigot. Like he could preach anywhere in Toronto in that same area he wants to preach in. But he chose this place. And he'll talk about that later on in the video.
You want to shake my hand? What did I say? But why do you need a microphone? So that people can hear the good news of Jesus Christ. Great, I can talk to you. I'm talking to more than one person. No one's disturbing the peace. So hold on. Why are you being hateful right now? I'm not being hateful to you. So I asked a few people, and we have one person. Not many people. You said you can tolerate me, so tolerate me. You're like, you won't tolerate me. Corner with a microphone disturbing the peace. Okay, so I'm not here disturbing the peace. I'm exercising my freedom. Tolerance is not an acceptable word. Tolerance. Okay. I'm here. Tolerate all kinds of. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you that I tolerate you, and I accept you. Okay, do you have a problem with me? I have a problem with you standing on the corner with a microphone. Okay, so we have a problem. So let's go ahead and have your okay, so you're God loves you. God cares for you. If you don't want to hear it,
okay, so as we seem to have a failure in communication, now here is where David Lynn and other street preachers and other people, Veckel, they don't know what to do. They have no idea because now people are getting agitated. You're asking inane questions and you have the sound system that's way too goddamn loud. Like that's just because you think about the little area that they're in because he's moving further and further back into that whatever this shop is here. And so you're being enclosed by more and more people. This is really, really interesting because it only takes one person to go across your face and everybody else can either, be complicit in the act and help out, or they could just, I didn't see anything. So while you're being obnoxious and you're being surrounded by people, or you're just amongst people who may not care for you, you have a few choices. You can continue doing what you're doing, just be an obnoxious prick, or you can say, hey, I need to diffuse the situation, or diffuse the situation. I'm guaranteeing you David Lynn doesn't do that. I'm just something about that. Just tell he's not going to do that. Just not at all. Just say, hey, let me turn off the sound system. Can we give each other some space? Let's talk. You know what? Let me hear what you have to say and be receptive. Let me be receptive, because evidently we do have a failure in communication.
I'm gonna just back up for a bit, because we have a lot of people that are hateful. I don't hate anybody.
And let me tell you, you can call me a coward if you want to. But when that guy said that, you know what, I live right across the street, and I got to look out here and hear you preaching all the time. I don't know, that would have struck a blow to me. Like, dude, I feel bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that Christians got to get out here and preach the gospel. Trust me, I understand that. But, you know, right outside this guy's window like that, like, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be, when the Bible tells us to be compassionate, we have to be compassionate even to those we totally disagree with. He immediately addressed the homosexual movement right on when he said, do you tolerate me? And they knew that he was saying that because they're gay, he's not. So, you know what I'm saying? He's a Christian, and they're not going to be able to be Christians, and they're not going to go to David Lynn's church and be Christians. So what's the point of asking us that question? It's not like we're invited to come to your church and be like this new group of gay people that are standing up for Jesus. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that. Because David Lynn will show you in the Bible where you got to give up your sin of being gay. So why even ask somebody that? Okay, it's not like you just want people to come to your church. No, you want people that are getting right with God to come to your church, right? So how do you even like bring this message to these people in a public way? See, and I'm going to tell you something else before closing. You got to come at these people from a private standpoint. You can't go out there and go after people publicly like this, because then they will rent you to pieces. Okay, you have to go after people because it's just like, how do people get into the church? People don't get into the churches from being in the crowd. People go into churches because something happened somewhere where they were all alone.
And this is accurate. People have personal testimonies, and oftentimes, like, if for those of you who know Christians, and they tell you their personal story, their personal testimony, every Christian has one. I have yet to hear one go, yeah, I was at a gay pride parade, and this guy with a sound system came up and started yelling at folks about how we need to repent and we're sinners, and then he isn't a bigot, he's just here to help. And I felt really compelled by this guy hollering at me and everybody else in the crowd to come to his church. Has anybody ever heard that testimony or anything close? I haven't. I have yet to hear that. So I'm not sure how. And just like, and this is something that I wanted to ask Veckel about. It's like, has anyone actually turned to Christ from you? I don't see, as a Calvinist, I don't know why he street preaches anyway, but that to me seems a bit counterproductive given what he actually believes. But whatever, he needs something to do in his life. But if you are being an obnoxious prick, which I think street preaching just kind of makes you an obnoxious prick. Sorry, RC apologists. Sorry, some of you folks that I know that I'm cool with. But street preaching, when you have a sound system or a megaphone, makes you an obnoxious prick. If you're standing on the street corner with some folks kind of evangelizing, or you just doing the Jehovah's Witnesses thing, you have literature there, and you're having a conversation with people, I prefer that. Because people know why you're there. They see the stuff. Like, anytime you walk past a Jehovah's Witness group or a couple or whatever that's kind of sitting there, you know what they're there for. You can clearly see what's happening. But if you have someone, if I stood on a street corner and just started yelling at people about things that I believe, do you really think that I'm going to reach them on a personal level? Come on. A Christian preaching doesn't make them toxic at all. Okay, now, if you literally just listen to what I said 5 fucking minutes ago, there's certain operative words that I use, right? There's certain things, I'm not sure how you somehow miss the fact that it's impersonal. Like, there's some that, at what point did I not clearly elucidate that having a sound system or something to boost how loud you are makes it impersonal and makes you a prick? Literally just said that. This is what I'm talking about. People not paying attention. I need to get my message out. If I use my military voice and you're a foot away from me, how do you feel in my presence? Your ears are probably going to hurt. Why is Drag yelling at me? This is so unnecessary. That's not how normal people communicate. You're not communicating with people like a normal human being, but you expect people to you expect people to hear what you're saying, not be pissed off, and then somehow have a life-changing event in the middle of anywhere. That's just, really? A Christian preaching with a microphone is not toxic. Okay, yeah, so let me place a heavy emphasis on, if you have any device that boosts your regular speaking voice above the decibel range that is acceptable for regular conversation in an outdoor environment, that is not conducive towards communication with another human being. Is that something that's strange? If you're not at a concert where the sound needs to be disseminated to a large group, how does that help you on a one-on-one environment when you're talking to one person? So just help me understand that, because that's ridiculous to me. That is absolutely ridiculous. Again, not all Christian denominations do that. Again, you have Jehovah's Witnesses. They'll sit out there. They sit outside my university out there, and I'll go and talk to them. He seems a bit slow, but that's fine. So the Jehovah's Witnesses that sit outside of my university, I'll sometimes sit down and talk to them. I'll be receptive to what they're saying because they're not being dickholes. Oh, okay, you know what? No one's talking to them. I'll go sit down and I'll talk to them. So the Mormons that come around here, they're being very cordial. I know they're part of technically a cult, but you know what? I'll talk to them because they're very cordial, they're very conversational, and they have some goddamn home training. So I will talk to them gleefully and schedule an appointment. This Friday, I have another appointment with some more Mormons, and we're going to talk about the evidence for the spiritual world. And we'll sit down, we'll have a half-hour-long conversation, and it's very interesting. It's very enlightening for both parties. I'm not receptive to this. I don't know too many people who are receptive to this. If you don't have the basic communication skills, then why am I going to listen to you on how to change my life? You can't even do the very basic thing that us higher level organisms can do, which is communicate. You can barely do that. But somehow people are supposed to change their entire lives around which you think is a better path for them. Are you kidding me? Are you really, that's what gets me, folks. Oh, by the way, some of y'all saw that I uploaded the first video where the Mormons came to my house. That's a taste for those of you who are patrons. I am uploading specific videos, and so I put that up for a few days for some of you guys to see what's actually on Patreon, because I'm not making a preview video. So there you go. I've had a few conversations, and I upload them unlisted after I have the conversation. I put them on Patreon, and so then the people on Patreon get them way ahead of anybody else, because I'll probably, maybe a few months down the road, I might take them and put them all on view for other people. But that's because I haven't put anything up there for a while. So that's what and again, if that's for special people, and I do need to update my Patreon thing because there's more y'all. I will be uploading. I just uploaded the conversation I had with them last Friday, and so this Friday I have another conversation that's scheduled. So, you have any piece of sense? No, my phone number's been out there for a while, man. A lot of people already have it. Like I said, I don't hide who I am. I don't hide where I go. I don't hide stuff about me. So if people want to come and try and fuck with me, I mean, that feel free. But there's a reason that I don't hide my shit. So it is what it is. Anyway.
and the clock hit them. It's like something hit them. Something triggered the idea that they were wrong, that they were living in sin, that they can't continue to live like this anymore. They need Jesus. And that's why it wasn't because, most of the time, it wasn't because of the street preacher. Most of the time, it wasn't because of them so concerned about what people say about their lifestyle. It was something between that person and God. Okay? So going after people publicly like this doesn't really help. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if you preach to 100 people on the street, one might show up at your church service on Sunday. Maybe. Even if it's at least one. Okay? But most of the time, we're preaching to the masses and we're getting nowhere. And I'm not saying that to hate. I'm not saying that to be a lukewarm Christian. I'm just talking about what works and what's more effective. Okay?
So even, this is sad, even Deroy agrees that that's not effective. Even Deroy Cruz, and mind you, I disagree with about 90% of what Deroy says on any given video, especially the really, really gay shit he likes to get into. But even Deroy says it's not effective. And this is a Christian. That's what's funny about this to me. He said out of 100 people, one might come to the church. Now, you say, what is the more effective use of my time? In loudly engaging with 100 people, being disruptive and being an obstinate fucking dick like David Lynn, or saying, you know what, maybe it's better if I engage smaller groups of people using my regular voice, understanding what some of these people are saying, understanding what they're going through, and then trying to reach them on a human level. And then maybe if I spend the same amount of time, let's say I spend 3 hours out there, rather than talking to 100 people and getting one, I talk to 20 people and I get 5. Like, you garnered more folks that potentially will come to Christ. If we're just playing a numbers game, I'm just saying, if you reach people on that level, wouldn't they feel more compelled? Because how many people is David Lynn reaching right now? There's 2 dudes who act, because before in the other video, folks, all those people that y'all see on the side, this not this dude in the blue jeans, but there's people on the other side of that pole, and they're wrapping around the edge of the street who didn't even want to talk to this guy at all. The only 2 or 3 people were the ones that you saw at the beginning. Well, technically the middle of the video, but the beginning of this video. And he wasn't effectively communicating with them. So do you really think that this is the most efficacious way for him to spend his time? Do you think that they felt compelled to come to Christ? No. No, indeed. And at this point, it has nothing to do with the gospel. It has nothing to do with the epistles. It has nothing to do with the Bible at all. It has everything to do with Pastor David Lynn's inability to communicate with another human being effectively. That's really all it is at the end of the day. It has nothing to do with the fact he can hide behind, I'm a Christian, I feel persecuted, I'm a victim, I'm a martyr. He can say that shit all day long. There are Christians who know how to communicate with other folks. There are Christians who know, and any religious group, hell, for that matter, that have tact. David Lynn does not. And it's also important to consider Lynn and his church may be trying to challenge certain sections of the criminal code, which do need to be revisited. That's possible. I hope he has a good team of lawyers. I hope he has an excellent team of lawyers to do that. Something tells me that, he doesn't.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to continue on with what I had to say. We have people that can't even say that they love me. They can't even say that they tolerate me, and I didn't even say anything. Except God loves me. God loves me. Because you're coming to us and you're violent, and I didn't do anything for you. So we're here to tell you that God loves you. Love is love. Love is love. Love is how God is love. I need to get a people to accept me. You don't accept me? You don't accept me? Why would I have to go out to altar? I don't have to. It's not public sidewalk. I do my taxes. You can stand in front of me. Let me do anything. So what you do right now, don't touch my stuff. Please. I'm accepting you. Okay, is it because I'm black? Okay. Is it because I'm Christian? This is how you control it. Thank you. I'm a Christian and I'm accepted just like you're accepted. Everyone's accepted. And that's what we preach as Christians, that everybody's accepted. I'm here to tell you today about some people critical about what's going on today.
Stop, but there's something wrong in which the world we are living in right now.
Oh. You'll probably add, what does that sound? So I decided to click on add the Holy Spirit inside of you. And I was curious to see if this was someone's sock account, but I just found some really shitty phone videos. So I'm curious to see what add the Holy Spirit inside you has to say, because that's an excellent screen name.
And I'm going to say this, and basically, we have a good exclamation. You see, I'm seeing too much hatred in this world. Too much hatred towards something or towards anything. It's too much of not the ways of Jesus Christ. Alright? Now, I'm going to read these scriptures.
So, you see hatred, and that's akin to people not following your religious beliefs. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Oh, he has a Discord. Oh! I made a cool server called Heaven. Please feel free to join. Yeah. Okay. So, there we go.
Should be publicized. The Christian community deserves respect as well. And we're here to tell you today that there is a God in heaven that made us in his image and in his likeness, and he's calling all people to himself. Because for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish. Whoever believes in him. And that tells me that there is hope for every person in Toronto. There is hope for you, there is hope for me, but you need to come to faith in Jesus Christ. You need to have faith in Jesus Christ. Jesus died for the sinner. Do you know that every person is a sinner? Don't touch me, please. Please take that off my body. Where's everybody so?
Please take the pride flag off of his body. Now, I don't know about you guys. I'm not a huge fan of shirts. This shirt is not on my body. So if I hold the shirt up in front of me, the shirt isn't on my body. Okay? This is the shirt being on my body. The flag has to physically be touching you to be on your body. Now, if you don't want the flag to obstruct your view, Pastor Dr. Mr. David Lynn, then that's a separate statement entirely. Okay, I'm not sure you understand how that works. As someone who regularly removes shirts from his body, I think I would be in a better position to tell you what does and does not be considered, I guess, as being, on your body. But okay, moving on.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward this. And I want to get to the part where he gets arrested. Now, so as you can see, they kept
this is
following
the arrest
him
video.
up and down the street. And finally, he gets arrested. Here we go. Let me see here. Okay,
Uncle Deroy, you gotta have these timestamps ready, man. This is so unprofessional. Well, that, and it looks like you got Parkinson's disease while you're talking and trying to hold this camera. He's talking to police. Okay, no, close.
All right.
Want to stay here, or you want to go with them there? I don't know. I want to go to the division, though. Yeah, you want to go to the division, or? Yeah, but I don't. We first need to go together. That's true. It could happen. We believe in a certain religion. Our religious beliefs and our freedoms to exercise that belief are going to be taken away. Good. We didn't form a mob today. A mob was formed against us. Assault was demonstrated against us. We didn't see anybody that assaulted us get arrested. I'm speaking on behalf of Christianity and Canada. Okay, I'm speaking on behalf.
So supposedly there was an assault at some point. So if there was an assault, if I was this guy, I was like, look, this gentleman over here and this gentleman over here assaulted me and Pastor David Lynn, and you know what? they need to be. I'd be pointing them out. Somebody hit me, and because he's being there was an assault on me, and then for some reason his rights and freedoms is going to be taken away. I'm not sure how that works, but you know what? Not a slippery slope. He's not a victim. This is not a part of a victim complex in any way, shape, or form. He is just saying things because he can speak on behalf of Canada and all Christians, because this is Joe Blow number 365.
Speaking on behalf of religious freedom in the world. All right, we were assaulted. No one who assaulted us was arrested. But the person that was speaking and freely exercising their Christian beliefs was handcuffed, and we don't even know where he's at right now. Okay?
He's with the police.
Protected us Christians. It's an honor. All right? You're trying to shut us down and make us leave. Officer, a mob was formed against us. We're the ones that need protecting. We have just as much right to freely exercise our religion as the LGBT community has.
That was after he was arrested.
I've been assaulted and nobody... Watch out.
That's what he's doing. You're not getting it. Okay?
You're welcome to watch, but just not under I didn't do anything against the law. I didn't do anything against the law. You're ripping my shirt. No, this is absolutely wrong. Okay, well, I'm being arrested. For what?
Absolutely.
What did I do?
You are not upholding the law.
What did I do? We're going to give you all the... What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? I need to know what I did according to the law. I need to know what I did according to the law.
I don't know Canadian law. I don't know that they're required to tell you what you're being arrested about. I have no idea. I would suspect maybe, but from my information, he was arrested for disturbing the peace, which, oddly enough, we have some laws here about people disturbing the peace too. It's crazy. Audience says, I bet after that dude gets arrested, he's going to say that they did it because he was preaching the gospel, and people had Jesus and him being assaulted. I think that was the narrative. I'm pretty sure that was the narrative. And some of the other videos that were played subsequent to this one, that actually I did see something in a title that alluded to, Pastor David Lynn arrested for preaching the gospel. Nothing in there about, no, he was actually disturbing the peace, right? So I'm just saying, if folks want to be a victim, then at least tell people why you were actually arrested. That's fine. You can be arrested for bullshit. That's fine, but put the actual charge up there, so it's not because if you tell people I was arrested for preaching the gospel, no, that's not why you were arrested. You just so happened to be preaching the gospel at the time you were breaking the law, but that's not. I was arrested for breathing. Sir, what were you doing when you were arrested? I was living. I was consuming a sandwich. That person underneath you is bleeding. I was eating when they arrested me. You were taking a chunk out that guy's neck. Yes, but I was eating. Like come on. That's really fucking deceptive and really fucking dishonest. But this shouldn't surprise anyone with this victim complex a lot of these guys have. It should not surprise a goddamn person. But David Lynn, amongst many other people, especially people we see here on the interwebs, they have this really weird victim complex that they have to continuously perpetuate because, hey, you know what? Taking responsibility for the things that you do in life is hard. Being an adult is hard. So if you're just a perpetual victim, then you can just get pity out of folks. And you know what? Pity works just as well as respect, right? Yeah, you know what? 10 of this, 5 of that, whatever.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. The fact of the matter is, he got arrested, and again, I agree 100% that was not a good reason to arrest him, because Christians aren't the only people that might, there's hate groups out there, and they're getting away with it. There's all kinds of political groups out there, and they're getting away with it. Nobody's arresting them for getting out there letting their voice be heard. Okay? How come the Hebrew Israelites never get arrested for, saying they hate white people and just standing out on public street corners and yelling racist crap to white people?
And they ass need to be arrested too. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm pretty sure some of those folks are being arrested last time I checked. But again, I don't follow Canadian news like that. So I would I think that Deroy forgets this is in Canada. I think that he's kind of forgetting like this is actually Canada. And so I think I know what he's referring to, which was an event that between some high schoolers and the Black Hebrew Israelites. I think he's conflating those events in two different countries. But I don't know, Uncle Deroy. I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far. So, Easium says they do. I've been in bookings with them. Okay, well, we know how you roll, Easium. So, but no, like it's if you're disturbing the peace, then your ass needs to go. Whether you preaching the gospel or you preaching bullshit or whatever, or both, that it is what it is. So, but drag Canada is America. Yeah, Canada is, yeah.
People, how come they're not getting arrested? But, in the name of Christ, we're the punks that get arrested. Okay, so, I understand that, David Lynn, there was no reason for David Lynn to be arrested. I understand that. At the same time, however, I also understand, and he should understand, as long as he's been doing this, the anger of the heathen, the anger of the Gentiles, the anger of the demonic, cults and the world system, okay? You cannot, it's not about what we can do for God. It's about what God can do for us and our little horny behavior, okay? It's not about what we can do for God. See, as a Christian, I've sacrificed everything and all my feelings and all my, wicked, off-color desires or whatever you want to call them. I've sacrificed all that for Christ. Okay? But, when it comes to that sacrifice, people rather put a Christian man behind bars instead of listening to what he's got to say, okay? And that's the bottom line with that. But could have David Lynn avoided being arrested if he had a little bit more respect for their petty little cult? If he had a little bit more respect for the little people. If he had a little bit more respect for the heathen, because these heathens are Canadians like he is. Okay, they're people. When they bleed just like he bleeds. Okay, so don't look down your nose at them and say, well, I can preach anywhere I want to preach because I'm a Christian and they're not. And they're in wickedness. But see, that's not the way the Bible tells us to look at them. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever...
So here's something that's, I know he's slow. Here's something that's interesting. I was trying to look up a non-Christian victimhood website where it actually details the arrest and not, oh my God, poor Christian, oh, they're coming to get us, they're putting us in cages, all that bullshit. I'm trying to skip all that. I just want to see the arrest stuff. That's it. And I can't find it. Just bleeding everywhere. So, Dragna, you're forgetting G-logic. It isn't important that someone broke the law. The only important thing is why they broke the law. Exactly. This is what happens when you have ultimate authority that doesn't exist and you live under the law that doesn't exist, that is above all of the laws. This is why Christianity is toxic. For some. I won't say for everybody. Not all Christians are stupid. Not all Christians. Hashtag not all Christians. So, what's interesting? Here's what's interesting, because we're at the end of this video. Now, how many of y'all know that I like to talk to Iron Raw? And there's some of y'all know that he and I are on friendly freaking terms. Now, and I've caught heat. Is losing my words today. I've caught heat from certain Christians because of how abrasive Iron Raw is. He goes into some of these Christian realms. He goes to the Ark Encounter. He goes to some of their events, and he causes a stir. why I'm not really bothered by that criticism is because of stuff like this. Like this very thing here. This very thing here is why. Because if you, on the one hand, feel it is your need to go in and disabuse people of what you figure is something that's hurtful to society and their life, well, guess what? Arn is on he is the polar opposite, the complete antithesis of that notion. On the other side of the spectrum, he wants to disabuse people of stuff like this. So guess what? If you find what David Lynn does acceptable, then you have to, by virtue, find what Arn does acceptable. Point blank period. Point blank freaking period. If you're upset that Arn is in your face, he's loud, and he's telling you stuff that you may not want to hear, but he thinks you should hear because there's a better way to live, then guess what? A dozen here, 2 half dozens there. Same thing. Same mentality. That's the issue here. That's why when Arn does his thing, you know what? I may go and join him one day just for the hell of it. Hint, hint, hint. But it's funny how people don't see that. There are some who will say, you know what? I don't think what Arn does is effective. Fair enough. But also, I'm not a big fan of street preachers either. That's fair. That's a very fair and very consistent position that, you know what? I accept that. I accept that. And then to the opposite of that, you know what? I think street preaching is cool. And what Arn does, he has a right to do as well. Cool. Again, a very consistent position. But not everyone's like that. Not everybody's like that. Not everyone's like that. So that's what I like pointing out here. Because if you're trying to get a message out, if we're trying to get a message out, what's the best way to do it? Especially something very personal. How do you have a personal conversation in a group of people in public? Kind of hard. Kind of hard to do that. Just a little bit. So, coffee's kicking in. I'm going to go ahead and let the end of this play, and I'll play y'all out with some G-Man stuff. I've been hearing that G-Man is somewhat defending, not defending pedophilia, but defending Matt Bell or trying to act as an apologist for Matt Bell. So, look, folks, I'm not surprised. G-Man will defend pedophilia if he has to. Now, drag. I've heard a little bit of what he's been saying recently, and I know stuff that he said in the past. G-Man is not beyond that. Let me tell y'all right now, G-Man is not beyond defending pedophilia at all. There was a video that I had made almost a year ago where he's actually doing that. He is asking people to attack young love. Put that in air quotes. The pederasty type young love. He's asking people to how can they reject it from a Christian standpoint. Now, in this video, he draws a distinction between he personally abhors it. He doesn't say that. He doesn't use that word. But he's saying he personally abhors it. But as a Christian, how can you come to that conclusion? And then he uses biblical examples. That is why some of y'all might not have seen that video. And actually, let me, as I'm talking, let me see if I can find that video. Because I forget exactly why. I think I remember why he brought that up, but it's interesting. Let's see. Oh man, I forget where that video is. I forget exactly. I'm going to have to find that video because, yeah, that was a while ago. I think I know where it is, but what G-Man's saying shouldn't surprise anybody. If G-Man needs to defend a pedophile or pedophilia, he will do that. He will do that exactly. He has no, like most of those kind of apprehensions a lot of us have. It's like, you know what? And so yeah, I'm moralizing. Yeah, some of us who can be moralizers. I'm telling y'all right now, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. It's not wrong in and of itself. There you go. That's kind of one of the hints right there that he doesn't have those type of qualms at all, and that's why people should kind of, you should look at some of his other videos where he randomly accosts children. But anyway, is G-Man smart enough to realize his own ignorance and No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all whatsoever. Don't think for a second that he's going to introspect. So, trust me, we're going to get on that. Let me play the rest of this, and I'll play y'all out.
Whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. That doesn't sound like going down to the rainbow colors and asking people if they tolerate you. Okay? So I'm going to do a part 2 of this video because there's other videos where David Lynn talks about, him getting arrested and what went on in prison and all like that. And I'm going to do a part 2 and throw that in there too. So thank you for watching. Deroy Cruz here, your Life Applications Officer. Talk to you soon.
The announcement is this. I'm going to be doing a Google Hangout next Friday. Not today, but next Friday. And that particular Google Hangout will be focused on primarily one thing. I'm asking everyone to bring their own personal rap to this particular Google Hangout.
I'm going to expose myself on YouTube. I'm going to make a YouTube video embarrassing myself.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I got to tell you about the fabulous, most groovy
G-Man.
You know you're breaking the law right now.
I will stomp a mud hole in you, sir.
I am not playing, Dragnet.
My name is G-Man.
You got the audacity. You're going to jail. You got the audacity.
My name is G-Man.
You got the audacity. That's all I got to say. You got the audacity. I stole $3,000. You got the audacity. You got the audacity. Because you don't got no evidence.
My name is G-Man. My name is G-Man.
No big business that I be.
My name is G-Man. My name is G-Man.
You can't beat me in fighting. You can't beat me in chemistry. You can't beat me in biology. You can't even walk better than me. You can't outrun me. Dude, you can't even out-talk me. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey City.
G-Man.
You got the audacity. You're going to jail. You got the audacity.
My name is G-Man.
You got the audacity. That's all I got to say. You got the audacity. I stole $3,000. You got the audacity. You got the audacity. Because you don't got no evidence.
My name is G-Man. My name is G-Man.
No big business that I be.
My name is G-Man. My name is G-Man.
You can't beat me in fighting. You can't beat me in chemistry. You can't beat me in biology. You can't even walk better than me. You can't outrun me. Dude, you can't even out-talk me. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey. Come to Jersey City.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministry.